Good evening and welcome to the 17th installment of my reading of S. Morgenstern's classic, The Princess Bride. "He has beaten Inigo," the Turk said, not quite sure he wanted to believe it, but positive that the news was sad. He liked Inigo. Inigo was the only one who wouldn't laugh when Fezzik asked him to play rhymes. They were hurrying down a mountainous path on the way to the Gilder frontier. The path was narrow and strewn with rocks like cannonballs, so the Sicilian had a terrible time keeping up. Fezzik carried Buttercup lightly on his shoulders. She was still tied hand and foot. "I didn't hear you! Say it again!" the Sicilian called out. So Fezzik waited for the hunchback to catch up to him. "See?" Fezzik pointed then. Far down, at the very bottom of the mountain path, the man in black could be seen running. "Inigo is beaten." "Inconceivable!" exploded the Sicilian. Fezzik never dared disagree with the hunchback. "I'm so stupid," Fezzik nodded. "Inigo has not lost to the man in black. He has defeated him, and to prove it, he has put on all the man in black's clothes and masks and hoods and boots and gained 80 pounds. The Sicilian squinted down toward the running figure. "Fool!" he hurled at the Turk. "After all these years, can't you tell Inigo when you see him? That isn't Inigo!" "I'll never learn," the Turk agreed. "If there's ever a question about anything, you can always count on me to get it wrong." "Inigo must have slipped or been tricked or otherwise unfairly beaten. That's the only conceivable explanation." "Conceivable, believable," the giant thought. Only he didn't dare to say it out loud. Not to the Sicilian. He might have whispered it to Inigo late at night, but that was before Inigo was dead. He also might have whispered, "Heavable, thievable, weavable," but that was as far as he got before the Sicilian started talking again, and that always meant he had to pay very strict attention. Nothing angered the hunchback as quickly as catching Fezzik thinking. Since he barely imagined someone like Fezzik capable of thought, he never asked what was on Fezzik's mind, because he couldn't have cared less. If he had found out Fezzik was making rhymes, he would have laughed and then found new ways to make Fezzik suffer. "Untie your feet!" the Sicilian commanded. Fezzik put the princess down and ripped the ropes apart that bound her legs. Then he rubbed her ankles so she could walk. The Sicilian grabbed her immediately and yanked her away. "Catch up with us quickly!" the Sicilian said. "Instructions?" Fezzik called out, almost panicked. He hated being left on his own like this. "Finish him! Finish him!" The Sicilian was getting peeved now. "Succeed, since Inigo failed us." "But I can't fence. I don't know how to fence." "Your way!" The Sicilian could barely control himself now. "Oh, yes, good. My way. Thank you, Vizzini," Fezzik said to the hunchback. Then, summoning all his courage, "I need a hint." "You're always saying how you understand force, how force belongs to you. Use it. I don't care how. Wait for him behind there." He pointed to a sharp bend in the mountain path. "And crush his head like an eggshell." He pointed to the cannonball-sized rocks. "I could do that, yes," Fezzik nodded. He was marvelous at throwing heavy things. "It just seems not very sportsmanlike, doesn't it?" The Sicilian lost control. It was terrifying when he did it. With most people, they scream and holler and jump around, but with Vizzini, it was very different. He got very, very quiet, and his voice sounded like it came from a dead throat, and his eyes turned to fire. "I tell you this, and I tell it once. Stop the man in black. Stop him for good and all. If you fail, there will be no excuses. I will find another giant." "Please don't desert me," Fezzik said. "Then do as you are told." He grabbed hold of Buttercup again and hobbled up the mountain path and out of sight. Fezzik glanced down toward the figure racing up the path toward him. Still a good distance away. Time enough to practice. Fezzik picked up a rock the size of a cannonball and aimed at a crack in the mountain 30 yards away. Whoosh! Dead center. He picked up a bigger rock and threw it at a shadow line twice as distant. Not quite. Whoosh! 2 inches to the right. Fezzik was reasonably satisfied. 2 inches off would still crush ahead if you aimed for the center. He groped around, found a perfect rock for throwing. It just fit in his hand. Then he moved to a sharp turn in the path, backed off into the deepest shadow. Unseen, silent, he waited patiently with his killing rock, counting the seconds until the man in black would die. Now, Turkish women are famous for the size of their babies. The only happy newborn ever to weigh over 24 pounds upon entrance was the product of a southern Turkish union. Turkish hospital records list a total of 11 children who weighed over 20 pounds at birth, and 95 more who weighed between 15 and 20. Now, all of these 106 cherubs did what babies usually do at birth. They lost 3 or 4 ounces, and it took them a better part of a week before they totally got it back. More accurately, 105 of them lost weight just after they were born. But not Fezzik. His first afternoon, he gained a pound. Since he weighed but 15, and since his mother gave birth 2 weeks early, the doctors weren't unduly concerned. It's because you came 2 weeks too soon, they explained to Fezzik's mother. That explains it. Actually, of course, it didn't explain anything. But whenever doctors are confused about something, which is really more frequently than any of us would well to think about, they always snatch at something in the vicinity of the case and add, that explains it. Or, well, it was raining during delivery. This added weight is simply moisture. That explains it. Nah. A healthy baby doubles his birth weight in about 6 months and triples it in a year. When Fezzik was a year old, he weighed 85 pounds. He wasn't fat, understand. He looked like a perfectly normal, strong, 85-pound kid. Not all that normal, actually. He was pretty hairy for a 1-year-old. By the time he reached kindergarten, he was ready to shave. He was the size of a normal man by this time, and all the other children made his life miserable. At first, naturally, they were scared to death. Even then, Fezzik looked fierce. But once they found out he was chicken, well, they weren't about to let that opportunity get away. "Bully! Bully!" they taunted Fezzik during morning yogurt break. "I'm not," Fezzik would say out loud. To himself, he would go, "Woolly, woolly." He would never dare to consider himself a poet, because he wasn't anything like that. He just loved rhymes. Anything you said out loud, he rhymed it inside. Sometimes the rhymes made sense, sometimes they didn't. Fezzik never cared much about sense. All that ever mattered was the sound. "Coward!" "Coward." "I'm not." "Then fight," one of them would say, and they would swing all he had and hit Fezzik in the stomach, confident that all Fezzik would do is go, "Oof," and stand there, because he never hit back, no matter what you did to him. Oof. Another swing. Another. A good stiff punch to the kidneys, maybe. Maybe a kick to the knee. It would go on like that until Fezzik would burst into tears and run away. One day at home, Fezzik's father called, "Come here." Fezzik, as always, obeyed. "Dry your tears," his mother said. 2 children had beaten him very badly just before. He did what he could to stop crying. "Fezzik, this can't go on," his mother said. "They must stop picking on you." "Kicking on you? I don't mind so much," Fezzik said. "Well, you should mind," his father said. He was a carpenter with big hands. "Come on outside. I'm going to teach you how to fight." "Please, I don't want—" "Obey your father." They trooped out to the backyard. "Make a fist," his father said. Fezzik did his best. His father looked at his mother, then at the heavens. "Oh, he can't even make a fist," his father said. "He's trying. He's only 6. Don't be so hard on him. Fezzik's father cared for his son greatly, and he tried to keep his voice soft so Fezzik wouldn't burst out crying. But it wasn't easy. Honey, Fezzik's father said, look, when you make a fist, don't put your thumb inside your fingers. You keep your thumb outside your fingers. Because if you keep your thumb inside your fingers and you hit somebody, what will happen is you'll break your thumb. And that isn't good. Because the whole object when you hit somebody is to hurt the other guy, not yourself. Flirt. I don't want to hurt anybody, Daddy. I don't want you to hurt anybody, Fezzik. But if you know how to take care of yourself, and they know you know, they won't bother you anymore. Father, I don't mind so much. Well, we do, his mother said. They shouldn't pick on you, Fezzik, just because you need a shave. Back to the fist, his father said. Have we learned how? Fezzik made a fist again, this time with a thumb outside. He's a natural learner, his mother said. She cared for him as greatly as his father did. Now hit me, Fezzik's father said. No, I don't want to do that. Hit your father, Fezzik. Maybe he doesn't know how to hit, Fezzik's father said. Maybe not, Fezzik's mother shook her head sadly. Watch, honey, Fezzik's father said. See, simple. You just make a fist like you already know, and then pull back your arm a little and aim for you where you want to land and let go. Show your father what a natural learner you are, Fezzik's mother said. Make a punch. Hit him a good one. Fezzik made a punch toward his father's arm. Fezzik's father stared at the heavens again in frustration. He came close to your arm, Fezzik's mother said quickly before his son's face could cloud. That wasn't very good. For a start, Fezzik, but tell him what a good start he made, she said to her husband. It was in the right general direction, Fezzik's father managed. If only I'd been standing 1 yard farther west, it would have been perfect. I'm very tired, Fezzik said. When you learn so much so fast, you get so tired. I do anyway. Please, may I be excused? Not yet, Fezzik's mother said. Honey, please hit me. Really hit me. Try. You're a smart boy. Hit me a good one, Fezzik's father begged. Tomorrow, Daddy, I promise. Tears began to form. Crying's not going to work, Fezzik, his father exploded. It's not going to work on me, and it's not going to work on your mother. You're going to do what I say, and what you're going to do is you're going to hit me. And if it takes all night, we're going to stand right here. And if it takes all week, we're going to stand right here. And if it takes... BAM! This was before emergency wards, and that was too bad, at least for Fezzik's father, because there was no place to take him after Fezzik's punch landed, except to his own bed, where he remained with his eyes shut for a day and a half, except for when the milkman came to fix his broken jaw. This wasn't before doctors, but in Turkey they hadn't gotten around to claiming the bone business yet. Milkmen were still in charge of bones, the logic being since milk was so good for bones, who would know more about broken bones than a milkman? But when Fezzik's father was able to open his eyes as much as he wanted, they had a family talk. The three of them. Thanks for reading with me tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.